let me show you 5 easy effects which you really need to know.
So let's start straight with these clips, where we'll now take some screenshots for our cutout animation. Go to the first clip and choose a part where you want to take the screenshot. Then click on the photo icon to export the frame. Do the same with the other clips as well. Pick different moments and export a screenshot from each clip. This way, you'll end up with several images we can use for the cutout animation later on. Take your time to choose frames that work well for the animation. For this tutorial, I'll speed this part up. Once you're done, you'll see your screenshots in the project panel. Select all of them and drag them into your timeline next to your other clips. The next step is to cut out all the parts we need for our effect. This will prepare everything for the cutout animation, so highlight the first screenshot. If you're using an older version of Premiere Pro, you can mask out the part you want manually. I've linked an older tutorial for that in the description. In the new version of Premiere Pro, we can use the Object Mask tool, which will save us a lot of time in the future. So click on it. When you hover over it with your mouse, Premiere can now recognize the object. Let's choose him. Normally, Premiere will move the mask we created to the new unassigned mask section, but in our example, it's already in the opacity section where we need it. So normally, the mask is up here, which you'll see in the next screenshots. Just drag it down to the opacity section to mask him out from the rest of the picture. So with the next picture, we do the same. Select it, then use the new Object Mask tool and click on the next guy. Drag the mask down to the opacity section, and that's it. Do the exact same steps with the other pictures. Premiere does a really great job with the masking. So once you're done, all your objects are cut out very accurately, like this. Next, select the masked images and move them to the beginning of your clip. Let me show you the clip where we want the cutout animation to start. Let's choose the part where she looks into the camera. So right here, go to the very last frame and right-click on it. Then choose Add Frame Hold, which freezes the last frame of the clip, so it stays visible as a still image. Extend the frame hold a bit so we have enough space for our cutout animation. The frame hold is basically just a still image. Now go to the middle between the clip and the frame hold, move 2 frames to the right, and place the first picture there. You can even go 5 frames to the right, but I prefer this effect to be fast, so I recommend 2 frames. Next, go to the effect controls and use motion to adjust the position, scale, and rotation until it looks good. Just make sure no important parts are missing. If something like the feet isn't there, don't show it. Go to the beginning of the first cutout, move 2 frames to the right, and place another screenshot above it. Do the same with the second clip and adjust its position in the effect controls. When positioning the cutouts, you can be a bit more playful with it. Placing them slightly off or even over other cuts can make the effect feel more dynamic and interesting. Don't be afraid to experiment here. Let me speed this up again for you. Just don't forget to always use 2 frames between each cut, and you can do this with around 8 cutout screenshots. When you are done, it should look like this. It already looks very dope. Now let's find the best length for this effect. Go to the first frame of the last cutout, move 5 frames to the right, cut all other screenshots there, and delete the rest. With the Shift key on your keyboard, you can jump 5 frames using the right arrow, just a small tip. This helps you control the length of the effect very precisely. So delete the remaining part of the effect and drag the next clip after it to close the gap. It should look like this now, way better when it's a bit shorter. Next, select the first cutout and go to the Effects panel. Search for the brightness and contrast effect and drag it onto the cutout, because we want a small flash when the cutouts appear. With the brightness and contrast effect, you can create really nice flashes. It's my go-to effect in almost every project. Once you've added it, go to the effect controls and move to the first frame of the selected cutout. Create a keyframe with around 55 for brightness and 20 for contrast. On the next frame, set all the values back to 0. Next, select the brightness and contrast effect and copy it. Then paste it onto the other cutouts so all of them have the same flash effect. Much better. Now select all cutouts and right-click to nest them, since we're not making any further adjustments to them. Now we're going to pimp this effect even more. Create an adjustment layer and drag it onto the timeline. This will let us add a smooth shake right after the cutout animation. This adds extra movement and makes the transition feel way more dynamic. So create the adjustment layer and drag it onto the timeline. Make it 8 frames long and place it 2 frames before the cutout animation ends. We'll now add a nice shake effect. Go to the effects panel, search for the essential pack I created for you guys, and drag a shake effect onto the adjustment layer. I also linked a tutorial in the description showing how to create your own shake effects. Looks very dope. You can download a free Super 8 film burn in the description. Just place the film burn on top of the cutout animation and set the blend mode to screen in the effect controls. Use the film burn right after the flash starts, since we want the cutout animation to stay visible. This adds more energy and gives the whole effect a more cinematic and polished look. So make sure the blend mode is set to screen. And now let's check the cutout animation using the new object masking tool. Okay, let me show you how easy this effect is. First, hold the Option key on Mac or Alt key on Windows and drag the clip up to Video 2 to duplicate it. Click on the Object Mask tool in the new version of Premiere and select your object. In the Effect controls, you'll see the Object Mask. Just click on the tracking button and Premiere will track the object through every frame. The new Object Mask saves us so much time and lets you create a lot of dope effects. Once it's done, just drag the mask down to the opacity section to activate it. If you hide video 1, you'll see the clean mask. Unhide video 1 again so you can see the full footage. Then right-click the mask clip and nest it so we can start adding effects. In the Effects panel, search for the transform effect and add it to the nested masked clip. Choose the frame where you want the effect to start, then go to the effect controls. This is where we bring the effect to life. So in the effect controls, go to the first frame of the clip and set keyframes for position and scale in the transform effect. Then move a few frames forward and create another keyframe where you move the object to the left side, for example, around here. You can also move the object a bit lower to add more movement when it snaps back into position. Feel free to play with the scale as well to make the motion more dynamic. Make some small adjustments and let's see how it looks now. If it feels a bit too slow, move the last keyframes closer together to speed up the motion. I think this already looks way better. Feel free to experiment to find your own speed and style for the effect. Once you're happy, move a few frames forward, set new keyframes for position and scale, then move forward again and reset all values back to 0. It already looks very dope. Next, select all your keyframes, right-click, go to Temporal Interpolation, and choose Ease In. The next thing we're going to do is add some motion blur, since this really makes the difference. For that, simply adjust the shutter angle and set it to around 180. You can see the nice motion blur now, and since the last keyframe is closer to the others, the movement feels very dynamic. Now make a cut when the object snaps back to its original position and close the gap with the next clip. Since the effect is faster, it looks very professional, which is exactly what you want. Finally, create an adjustment layer and drag it onto your timeline. Make it around 8 frames long and place it 2 frames before the effect ends. We'll end this effect with a nice shake, which you can find in my essential preset pack. You can also check the tutorial in the description to learn how to create your own shake effect. This works perfectly for this kind of animation. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Okay, I prepared some clips for you guys. On the first clip, we're going to place the text behind her. First, duplicate your clip by holding Alt on Windows or Option on Mac. Select the new Object Mask tool in Premiere and highlight her in the program monitor. Then go to the effect controls and track the mask through the entire clip so we can isolate her. The new Object Mask tool automatically detects and tracks a subject in your footage, so you don't have to draw and animate masks manually. Drag the unassigned mask down to the opacity section, and now she's isolated from the background. Next, select the text tool and create a new text layer. In this example, I'll use the text Desert Walk. Place the text layer between the masked clip and the original clip, and you'll see that the text appears behind her. In the Properties panel, you can now edit the text. First, choose a good font in this example. We'll use Avenir, which looks very clean and modern. Adjust the size so it's not too big, and play with the tracking to add more space between each letter. This spacing gives the text a more cinematic feel. This really depends on your personal preference. Next, move the text to the center of the frame. In the Align and Transform section, you can fine-tune the size until it fits her and the scene perfectly. Whenever you adjust the settings, make sure to realign the text so it stays centered. Of course, this also depends on where your subject is positioned in the frame. Now go to the beginning of the clip and make a cut every other frame using the C key. On each cut, we'll change the font to create this dynamic effect. Jump 2 frames forward, make a cut, and repeat this as long as you want the text animation to last. You can control the speed of the effect simply by adjusting how many cuts you create. Once you're done, jump back to the beginning of the clip and select the second text layer, since we already edited the first one. Go to the Properties panel again and change the font. In the description, I've added 10 fonts that I used in this video. Just make sure to check the rights and licenses before using them. Always adjust the size and tracking so each font matches the same position and scale as the first one. Try to keep everything consistent. At the end, make sure to align them properly so the animation looks clean and professional. You can jump back to the first text layer and check if the size matches. If not, adjust the settings until everything lines up properly. In this example, you could even change the font style to better match the overall look. Align the text, and in this example, we're good to go. Now select the third text layer and repeat the same steps as before. Change the font, adjust the size, and align it properly at the end. As mentioned, check the description for the fonts I used. I'll speed this part up for you, and of course, feel free to drop any questions in the comments. While I'm speeding this up, just focus on matching the size and position. Once you're done, delete the remaining parts of the text layers. Now, copy the text layers and paste them behind the others. Then trim or delete the overlapping parts so everything matches the length of our masked clip. As you can see, this effect already looks very dope with the different fonts. You can always check if something needs adjustment, but in this example, it looks just fine. In the description, you can also download a free Super 8 film burn overlay. Just place it between the text animation and the second clip, right on the brightest part, so we get a smooth and easy transition. This transition looks super cinematic and gives the whole edit a really professional vibe. When you see the brightest part of the film burn between the clips, go to the effect controls and set the blend mode to screen so your footage becomes visible. Now let's check how it looks. It looks very dope. Now let me show you how you can combine this effect with a few more effects, since this is really eye-catching. When you stack effects the right way, the whole edit feels even more dynamic and professional. Create an adjustment layer and drag it onto your timeline, then make it about 9 frames long. We're going to add a nice shake to enhance the effect. Download my essential pack and drag a shake onto the layer. You can also find a tutorial in the description if you want to create your own shakes. Open the essential pack and drag and drop the shake effect onto the adjustment layer. As you can see, it immediately brings more energy to the clip. You can also move it slightly to adjust the timing and make the shake hit a bit earlier. Let's preview it and see how it looks now. Looks very dope. For the small clips you see next, create an adjustment layer with 3 frames and add a simple flash effect from the essential pack. These short flashes work so well because they emphasize cuts, add impact, and make the edit feel faster and more dynamic without overwhelming the viewer. Now hold the Option key on Mac or Alt on Windows to duplicate the flash and place it on the other cuts. What we can do now is duplicate the last clip. Then click on the new Object Mask tool again and mask out the lady. In the effect controls, track her so she's properly isolated. Then copy a text layer from the beginning and paste it between the original clip and the masked clip. Next, we extend the text layer so it has the same length like our clips. If you can't see the text, make sure the mask is placed under opacity so the subject is properly cut out and the text appears behind her. Now select the text layer and adjust the size in the Properties panel so it matches your clip. After every change, make sure to realign the text in Align and Transform to keep everything centered and clean. It already looks good, but since we have this nice Super 8 film burn overlay, which you can download in the description, we can also use it here to pimp the effect and make it more eye-catching for our viewers. Paste a part between our second text clip. Now select the text layer and make a simple scale animation with the keyframes on scale. If you have any questions, drop a comment below and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Okay, let's start with this effect. We begin with a clip where she's looking into the camera. The second clip is 12 frames long. This is where the effect starts. After that, we have 12 clips that are each 2 frames long. Just choose random clips from your project and trim them down to 2 frames each. The first thing you need to do is select the 12 frame clip and the 2 frame clips. Then right-click and nest them, since we want to apply all effects to one single nested clip. Move the nested clip one layer up and extend the first clip on the timeline. Next, select the nested clip and scale it down in the effect controls until it's a bit smaller. You'll notice the sharp corners now. Let me show you how to make them round. For that, just open the new Film Impact dashboard where you can find a bunch of new effects. If you don't see it, go to Window Extensions and click on Film Impact Dashboard. Go to Effects Image Controls in the Film Impact dashboard. Select your nested clip and click Apply to round the edges. This effect saves so much time. Since we now have rounded edges, go to the Effects panel and search for Basic 3D. Drag and drop this effect onto the nested clip. The Basic 3D effect lets you rotate the clip in 3D space to create depth and spinning movements. Then go to the Effect controls, move to the first frame, and set a keyframe on tilt. Move 10 frames forward and set another tilt keyframe, spinning the clip exactly once around its own axis. Spinning the clip just once looks cleaner and more professional. Too much spinning can feel chaotic and distracting, while a single rotation keeps the effect sharp and controlled. It already looks very good, but now let's really bring it to life. First, nest the clip again, then go to the Effects panel, search for the Transform effect, and drag it onto the nested clip. With the Transform effect, we can animate position, scale, and rotation in a much smoother and more controlled way. Go to the first frame and set keyframes for position, scale, and rotation. First, scale the clip down very small, since we want it to grow from small to big. Then move the position down until the clip is no longer visible. If you want, you can also add a bit of rotation. This makes the movement feel even more dynamic in the end. Next, hold the Shift key and move 10 frames to the right, then click the reset arrows to bring all values back to 0. As you can see, it already looks very dope. To add motion blur, simply increase the shutter angle to 200 and you'll get a smooth, natural looking blur. It already looks very dope, but let's pimp it even more. As always, I recommend combining this kind of effect with a nice shake. For that, create an adjustment layer and drag it onto your timeline. Make it about 9 frames long, then add a drag and drop shake effect. I've linked a tutorial in the description if you want to create the shake yourself. Make the adjustment layer 9 frames long and place it where you want the shake to start. Then go to the Effects panel, open the Essential Preset Pack, linked in the description. Go to the Shake folder and drag and drop a shake effect onto the adjustment layer. Let's choose a shake effect with a nice flash. It fits perfectly with this spinning effect. You can still adjust the position of the adjustment layer, and by holding Alt on Windows or Option on Mac, you can copy it and place it at the end of the effect. Looks very dope, right? In the description, you can also find a free Super 8 film burn transition that works perfectly with this effect. Just add it on top and set the blend mode to screen in the effect controls so your clips stay visible. This overlay works so well because it adds texture, energy, and a cinematic feel without overpowering the effect. Copy this effect to the start and the end of the clip, and that's it. Okay, this effect is super easy to do. Go to the first frame of your second clip and export a screenshot of that frame. You can also use a frame hold if you prefer. Go about 12 frames to the left and drag the exported screenshot on top of the clip. Cut it right before the second clip starts, then delete the remaining part of the screenshot. Now select the new Object Mask tool on the left and highlight the woman in the video. In the effect controls, just click Track, and Premiere will automatically mask her out of the image. Now drag the mask down to the opacity section so it becomes active and cuts the subject out from the background. Select the mask clip and nest it so we can make some adjustments. Then go to the Effects panel, search for the Transform effect, and drag it onto the nested clip. Next, search for the brightness and contrast effect and drag it onto the nested clip as well. Since we've added all the effects we need, we can now start adjusting them. Go to the first frame of the clip and set a keyframe on position in the transform effect. Then move the position all the way down until she's no longer visible. Move a few frames forward, create another keyframe, and use the reset arrow to bring her back to the original position. Finally, move that keyframe to the end of the clip. Set the shutter angle to 200 to add motion blur. Then go back to the first frame and create keyframes for brightness at 80 and contrast at 40. Move a few frames forward, add new keyframes, reset both values, and place those keyframes at the end of the clip. Let's check the effect now. It looks very dope and is super easy to create. You can repeat the same steps on the other clips. Go to the first frame, export a screenshot, and use the object mask tool to cut the subject out. This way, you get a consistent look across all clips while keeping the effect fast and clean. This effect works almost every time, which is why you see it in so many projects like music, videos, commercials, and social content. It's simple, clean, and very flexible, so you can adapt it to almost any style or mood. You can also make it much faster than 12 frames if you want a more aggressive or snappy look. This is really just a matter of taste. Play around with the timing and find what fits your footage best. In this example, I go with 12 frames because I don't want the effect to feel too fast. So use the object mask again, track it in the effect controls, and then drag the mask down to the opacity section. With the new object mask, you can save so much time. Instead of manually drawing masks and adjusting dozens of keyframes, Premiere tracks the subject for you in just a few clicks. That means you can focus more on creativity and less on technical work, which makes your workflow much faster and more efficient. Once you're done, select the first nested clip. In the effect controls, highlight both the brightness and contrast and transform effects and copy them. Then select the other nested clips and paste the effects onto them. As you can see, it's super fast to create this effect and it looks really clean. Next, create an adjustment layer and make it 3 frames long. Then go to the effects panel and search in my pack for a flash position effect. You can download the essential pack in the description. My essential pack is so powerful because it saves you a huge amount of time. You don't need to build every effect from scratch. You can simply copy the flash position effect and apply it to the other freeze frame transitions to keep everything consistent and fast. You can also create another adjustment layer with a total length of 9 frames and drag one of my shake effects onto it. This gives the clip the final burst of energy, and that's it. Make sure to subscribe to my channel